Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much again for joining me here. Hope you're having a great day. Let's take another look here at Ethereum, see what's going on. It's doing quite well here at this point. ETH upwards about 4,095 as of that. I think it was on Friday, of course, and it's tapered off since then. Most of the market is doing so, but the truth is this coin's showing a lot of strength, and it's probably best not to try to short into it, even though we are at this point of contention. So we'll talk about that. Either way you look at it, thanks again so much for being an awesome part of my life. Let's go ahead and pull up our back-end liquidation data and kind of see what's going on there. And quick little request, if you hit the like button down below, doesn't hurt you at all, really helps a lot. Deeply appreciate that. Thank you so much again. We try to get this in front of more people, so less moon boys get them destroyed, because I'm confident they all probably said to go long this weekend. And the truth is, we had this like weird transition overall. So if you caught my Bitcoin video, Bitcoin's been kind of on the edge of greatness, but also disaster too. So we'll talk more about that. If you're not familiar with my Bitcoin videos, be sure to watch those. But the consensus here for ETH is that it's performing very well. And again, even though it's pulled back a decent amount since its recent high, it's still doing quite nice. Now, we want to be very clear and understand that with liquidation levels, there's more propensity for the price to continue lower. There's a lot of heavy liquidation at the 3,700, even 3,800. We've got some late longs there, of course, taking longs. So I get that. Just generally based on how strong this coin is, it makes sense to buy the dips. But 3,500, 3,600, you can see it's kind of some of these round numbers where there's some heavy liquidation. So just be mindful that's a thing. If we look at the macro here too, there is technically more liquidation on the upside at that 4,200, 4,200 range that we just want to be aware of as well. But to the downside, of course, there's always potential there. We're closer to lower liquidation levels, so it would make sense for the price to pull back a little bit. We also see the shift in momentum here where the delta has shifted bearish. So most people are now shorting ETH versus taking longs. In other words, we have just more people with liquidation to the upside than the downside, implying that shorts are in play. Okay. We look here as well with open interest. We can recognize too that we have a pretty heavy concentration at about 3,870. And that's a tentative resistance for us. So 3,800 is a decent support. I'm rounding up a little bit there. But 3,870 is that secondary amount of control. And basically, this implies we have the heaviest amount of positions right there at those two levels. So we're kind of smack dab in the middle of a support and resistance range, depending on how you look at it. Okay, so just kind of be mindful. 3,800 is a tentative supports, 3,870 is tentative resistance. Let's look at the daily. See what's going on here. We can see we're above all moving averages. This coin is performing very well. We have fair value gaps below the price action, of course, but we're not close to those. We don't need to worry about that just yet. When we look at the RSI, though, we have pulled back below 70, which is generally a favorable sign to consider securing profits. But again, on the same accord, it's doing really well in the overall sense. Money flow index is high, even though stochastic's pulling back. That's a natural capitulation. We can also see MACD is trying to diverge, but hasn't fully yet. Every time it tries to diverge, it keeps getting a nice little FU, a middle finger to the to the divergence there. So the simple way to understand it is that until this trend breaks, we want to presume it's going to continue. Okay, and it's easier to see the trend line in the 4-hour time frame because oftentimes when you draw trend lines out, they should run concurrent with the 50 or 20-day SMA. 50 on the 4-hour time frame to me is the most substantial, and we can see right now still a tentative support. Every time ETH has come down to this level, it consistently bounces and recovers. Okay, so just keep in mind we close below that level. It may be a consideration for a short, just based on the sentiment that we may be moving down. But you got to recognize too, if Bitcoin recovers, ETH will probably do the same thing times 2. Okay, so it's been pretty good, pretty solid. You're probably going to find more success still taking longs than shorts. But let's don't just hear that one thing and then take a long. When we look at the RSI, we're under 50 on the RSI. We haven't been or spent much time under 50 on the RSI at all. Okay, we're spending more time now than we have previously, so that kind of implies we've broken some kind of support and we're potentially moving lower. You can also see money flow indexes below the RSI. That's not a favorable sign. That implies that we may see a bounce soon, but that we're still on the way down. MACD is diverging, so a lot of reasons why taking a long position isn't a viable option, but shorting also isn't either until we have some type of confirmation. And confirmation comes in a lot of different ways, folks. It's always changing, always evolving. People will ask me, what does confirmation look like? And a lot of times it's just kind of a sixth sense that you develop over time when you see certain supports or certain averages being broken. At this point, everything on the hourly time frame is pointing down. There's no reason to really take a long into this. But again, these are conservative indicators letting us know that, hey, taking a high risk long at support doesn't make a ton of sense because the overall trend is down. Okay, so that's generally what this is telling us. So should you take a long? No. Should you take a short? Yes, maybe, but also very carefully. If you're to consider a short, just make sure you use low leverage, low position size. Again, smaller time frames on most coins are going to exude this, but this is a very common occurrence when the price action gets to this point. A lot of times the price will reverse. Market makers know that everyone's shifting gears to a short position, and they just rake the position back up and destroy a lot of late shorts. So me personally, I'd much rather see the price come back up to retest some resistance first before I short versus taking a short at the potential bottom. Or depending on how you look at it, there's a lot of things that can change. But anyways, that's where we're at. I hope that makes sense. Anyways, thanks again so much for the request. This was a request from one of my community members in our channel. I think it was Riven. Thank you so much again for that request. And of course, if you're all not part of our Twitter, Telegram, or Discord, you may not know this already, but there's a solid deposit bonus right now for Bitunix. Link down below. Check them out, folks. They're a phenomenal exchange. Our community uses them almost specifically because there's no KYC VPN requirements. They're awesome, though. Coincidentally, they're a really good exchange, so it works out pretty well. I'll post a playout chart on our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord here soon, just kind of giving you an indication on what my thoughts are here with this coin. I hope you have a good rest of your day. Thanks again so much for your time. See you soon.